I'm Shreya Majagi, and I'm a second year in the UMKC School of Medicine. I'm originally from Rogers, Arkansas, and I'm really enjoying being in Kansas City these past 2 years. Something that I really enjoy about Kansas City is that it's just more diverse than Arkansas, where I grew up in. Um, and diversity has always just been really important to me and just growing up throughout my life. My story really begins with my parents, way before I was even born. My parents both grew up in India, thousands of miles away, and they decided to immigrate to America. So just the transition of them coming from India and to America is one of my favorites. But there's a story that I really love, and it's one that my dad told me when he was about 10. No, when I was 10, but that would be hard. Um, but he was telling me that they had just came to America, so to Philadelphia, and they were getting off of a subway station, and they heard yelling and shouting. And they heard someone yell, "Go Browns, go." And they were just terrified, lost, and confused. And when I heard this story, I didn't know what to say either. But it's actually pretty funny, and my dad now tells this to everyone that asks about it. But it turns out that there was a television in the subway station, and people were watching a football game where the Cleveland Browns happened to be playing. So it turns out they were more like, "Go Browns, go," not "Go Browns, go." Yeah. But when I hear stories like this, it just seems so crazy to me. Like, imagine leaving everything that you had ever known in order to go somewhere that you don't know about in hopes of finding a greater future. And I just find all immigrants so inspiring because of that. I also find immigrants inspiring because they not only represent different cultures and backgrounds, but they also represent different ideas. There's a lot of immigrants who have changed the way that America thinks. They span all the way from Albert Einstein to Madeleine Albright. And I just think that immigrants have really allowed America to make bounds of progress in innovation and advancement. Growing up in Arkansas really gave me a different perspective just because I was surrounded by a lot of people that didn't have the same background as me. One of these things that happened was just in middle school. In middle school, a kid once asked me what church I went to. And I wanted to fit in with everyone so badly. And growing up in a Hindu household, I wasn't sure what to say. So I said I went to the Cross Church because I remember seeing a cross on a church down the road. Didn't work out. No one believed it. But I later learned that I didn't have to be embarrassed just because I was different than a lot of my peers. I learned that diversity could be an asset and that having friends from different cultures and different backgrounds could actually make life more fulfilling and more exciting. I also had another experience like this whenever I was in elementary school. In elementary school, I remember being very insecure whenever we would have talks about slavery or be educated about it just because I was the darkest child at my school. And where I grew up in Arkansas is actually about 3 hours away from the Little Rock Nine, where 9 African American students were stopped from getting their education at Little Rock Central High School. And I just realized that so many people have experiences like this and challenges like this, and they learn to overcome it and later reach their full potential. So as a quiet student, I decided to start raising my hand and start talking about things that I found interesting. And I actually found that a lot of people were interested in my perspective. And I think that the challenge of being different or being not the same as everyone else that you're around is constant. But I think that overcoming it and having more people talk about it really allows people to embrace it as well. So here's a picture of my parents from when they first came to America. They're serving looks, by the way, so that's good. This is another experience that I've had. So there's a lot of things that happen, but especially as a millennial, you hear things on social media as well. So I had a couple of questions for this person that I've never met that sent me this. First, why is their profile picture Emma Watson? Because I'm pretty sure Emma Watson did not send me this message. It's possibly a fake account, not sure. But I had another question. Go back to where? I feel like we hear stuff like this a lot. So we hear people say, like, go back to where you came from, or where are you from? But what if you're from here? Like, I was born in Arkansas, so I consider Arkansas my home. And I love being an American. I love being an American so much that I'm willing to admit that America has a lot of work to do. America is supposed to be this place of freedom, this place of hope. America is supposed to represent the land of the free and the home of the brave. From Ellis Island to the Statue of Liberty to the melting pot. But how brave can we be if me and you can't interact without doing things like this? How brave can we be if we have to call someone out just because they're not exactly like us? I think there's a lot of things that we can do in order to create a space where diversity is celebrated. We can start by advocating and by pushing for policies. Some of these can include taking care of unfair and overwhelming amount of African Americans in prisons for misdemeanor crimes. Another one can be giving health care and making sure that Hispanic populations are not overlooked just because of their lack of access to health care. And another one can be just doing things like this, going out of your comfort zone to talk to others and learn about their cultures. This is a picture of my family from this year. That's my sister on the left. My parents always taught us to make sure that we reach out to others and make others feel welcome. They taught us that we rise by lifting others as well. And I honestly just, next time I see my parents, I need to make sure and tell them, go Browns go, because, because I feel like that's a really good way to live. By coming to UMKC in Kansas City, I've been able to experience different clubs and different things that Kansas City has to offer. A lot of people think Kansas City's still Missouri, so it's still the South, doesn't have a lot of diversity, but I've been really surprised to find different things that are out there. So I would encourage everyone here to try to leave your comfort zone and try to experience different events as well. Neil Donald Walsh once said, "Life begins when you leave your comfort zone." And I just really think that's true because I've seen it through my parents and how they've lived their life. Thank you for having me today.